They say everything is bigger in Texas. The sky, the ambition, the secrets. My name is Chloe Bennett, and the biggest secret of my life was standing as the best man at my mother's wedding. Liam Carter, my brother's best friend. The boy I'd secretly loved since I was 16. And as of today, my new stepbrother. This isn't a sweet story of reunited family. It's a story of a forbidden flame that threatened to burn our new life in Houston to the ground. The ceremony was held at the Chapman in Kirby, a venue all exposed brick and industrial chic, with the Houston skyline glittering through the massive windows. My mother, a vibrant, successful interior designer, was radiant in her second chance at love. And there he was, Liam, no longer the lanky boy who'd played video games in our living room, but a man. At 28, he was all sharp suits, a confident stance, and a gaze that could pin you to the wall. He'd taken over his father's oil and gas consulting firm and wore his success like a second skin. Our eyes met as my mother said her vows. For a breathtaking second, the noise of the world faded. Then, his expression shuddered, closing me out like a locked door. At the reception, fueled by champagne and a desperate need for closure, I cornered him near the bar. "Congratulations, Liam. I'm happy for our families." He turned, his whiskey-colored eyes cool and assessing. "Chloe," he acknowledged. He swirled the ice in his glass. "Let's be clear, this," he gestured between us, "changes nothing. You're my best friend's little sister. Now you're my father's wife's daughter. That's 2 layers of off-limits. Don't mistake proximity for possibility." The words were a deliberate, icy douse. My secret crush curdled into something darker. "The only thing I'm mistaking," I shot back, my voice low, "is you for a decent human being. Don't flatter yourself." A ghost of a smile, more dangerous than any frown, touched his lips. "Good, we understand each other." He walked away, and I was left with a humiliated flush and a simmering anger. The battle lines were drawn in the heart of Houston. The blended family experiment began in my mother's sprawling River Oaks mansion. Liam moved into the guest wing, his presence a constant, infuriating vibration in my home. We were 2 predators circling each other, polite at family dinners, icy in the hallway. My brother, Mark, was thrilled, completely blind to the tension. The first crack in Liam's armor appeared during a legendary Houston thunderstorm. The power flickered and died, plunging the house into a deep, terrifying blackness. I've been terrified of thunderstorms since I was a child, a relic of a childhood trauma I never discussed. I was curled into a ball on my bed, clutching my pillow, when my door creaked open. A beam of flashlight illuminated the room. "Chloe," it was Liam's voice, surprisingly calm. "Get out," I managed, my voice trembling. He ignored me, sitting on the edge of my bed. The flashlight cast dramatic shadows across his sharp jawline. "The transformers are blowing all over the neighborhood. Power will be out for hours." He paused. "You're shaking." "It's cold," I lied. He let out a soft, disbelieving laugh. "It's 80 degrees even with the AC out." His voice dropped. "You're scared." I didn't deny it. The admission hung in the dark, intimate air. He didn't leave, he just stayed. A silent, solid presence in the chaos. It was the most confusing truce we'd ever called. A week later, my art gallery had its grand opening in Montrose. It was a huge success, but Liam hadn't shown. I was both disappointed and furious. I found him later, on the mansion's back patio, overlooking the lit pool. "Couldn't be bothered to show up?" I asked, the champagne making me bold. He turned, his eyes blazing with an emotion I couldn't place. "I was there." "You were. I didn't see you." "I was in the back, watching you." He took a step closer. "You were magnetic, commanding the room. Everyone was watching you, and all I could think was how much I wanted to be the only one." The air left my lungs. He closed the final distance between us, his body a hair's breadth from mine. The heat radiating from him was more intense than the Houston night. "This is a terrible idea," I whispered, even as my body arched toward him. "The worst," he agreed, his voice rough. His hand came up to cup my jaw, his thumb stroking my lower lip. "Tell me to stop." I didn't. I rose onto my toes and captured his mouth with mine. It wasn't a kiss. It was a conflagration. Years of suppressed longing, anger, and raw desire exploded between us. It was all teeth and tongue and desperate, clutching hands. He backed me against the cool stucco wall, his body pinning mine, and the world narrowed to the taste of him and the frantic beating of our hearts. When we broke apart, we were both gasping. The reality of what we'd done was a bucket of ice water. "We can't," I breathed, my lips still tingling. "I know," he said, his forehead resting against mine, his breathing ragged. "But God, Chloe, I don't know how to stay away from you anymore." We became architects of a double life. Our forbidden love was a hidden current running beneath the placid surface of our family. Stolen moments in his downtown high-rise, his hands on my skin as the city lights twinkled below. The heat in his gaze across the dinner table, a secret language only we understood. It was the most alive I'd ever felt, and the most deceitful. The guilt was a constant companion, especially around my brother, Mark. We knew it was a time bomb. It exploded during a family Thanksgiving at the mansion. Mark, looking for a corkscrew, stumbled upon Liam's tablet, left unlocked on the kitchen island. It was open to a private photo stream. Photos of me. Laughing in my gallery, sleeping in his bed, a candid shot from the patio the night of our first kiss. The confrontation was nuclear. "My best friend and my sister." Mark's voice was dangerously quiet in the opulent dining room, the uneaten turkey a grotesque centerpiece. "Are you out of your minds? You're family now." Liam stepped in front of me, his posture defensive. "It's not like that, Mark." "Then what is it like, Liam? Explain it to me. Explain it to our parents." Our mothers stood frozen, their faces a palette of shock and dawning horror. Liam's father, Richard, a normally jovial man, looked pale and stricken. "It's love," I said, my voice trembling but clear. "We're in love." The word love seemed to make it worse, not better. "Love," my mother, Susan, finally whispered, her voice breaking. "Chloe, this isn't love. This is a disaster. You're tearing this family apart before it's even begun." Liam, seeing the devastation on his father's face, did what he thought was noble. He sacrificed us. His face went cold, the mask I hated slipping back into place. "She's right," he said, his voice flat and dead. "It was a mistake, a moment of weakness. It's over." He walked out, and my world shattered for the second time. He had chosen family duty over us. The following months were a special kind of hell. The mansion was a tomb of silent accusations and unspoken grief. My mother was distant, heartbroken that her new marriage had caused me such pain. Richard could barely look at me. Mark was caught between his loyalty to his friend and his fury at the betrayal. I thought I'd lost Liam forever. But love, real love, isn't that easy to kill. The turning point was a health scare. Richard had a minor heart attack. In the sterile waiting room of Houston Methodist, the family feud felt petty and small. We were all just scared people who loved him. It was there, surrounded by the smell of antiseptic and fear, that my mother finally broke down. "I just wanted you to be happy, Chloe. I was so scared this complication would ruin your life." "And pushing her away is saving it," a voice said from the doorway. It was Liam. He looked exhausted. "I was wrong. What I feel for Chloe isn't a complication or a weakness. It's the strongest, most real thing in my life. I love her. And I'm not walking away again, not unless she tells me to." He looked at me, his gaze an open plea. I stood and walked to him, taking his hand. "I'm not telling you to go." It wasn't an easy fix. It took time. There were more difficult conversations, tears, and a lot of awkward family dinners. But seeing our unwavering commitment, seeing that our love wasn't a fling but a steadfast partnership, slowly chipped away at their resistance. Mark was the last holdout, but even he, seeing how miserable we were apart, finally grumbled, "Just, don't make me think about it, okay?" A year later, we were married. Not in a big, flashy venue, but in my art gallery, surrounded by the paintings I loved and the people who, after a long and hard-fought battle, loved us. As I said my vows to Liam, my former crush, my stepbrother, my husband, I knew that family isn't always about blood or legal documents. Sometimes, it's about the fierce, chosen, and hard-won bonds that are strong enough to weather any storm, even a Texas-sized scandal.